Hello students, today we are going to start with the basic elements of the DSP and its requirement. This point is from the first chapter of third year BTech syllabus of DVT University. So let us start with this. So the basic elements of the DSP and its requirements. So this is the basic block diagram of the DSP. The first block is anti-aliasing filter where the X of t input is applied and this input is fed to the sample and hold circuit where the sampling of the signal will be available. After the samples available, it will be fed to the A to D converter, that is the signal will get converted into the digital form after it fed to the DSP processor where the required processing will be done, and after the processing this signal will be given to the D to A converter, and after that the reconstruction, so you will get the Y of t as the output. So in the figure, the X of t input signal is applied, which is the analog form, and Y of t is also output, is in the analog form. The input signal X of t may be the signal from the transducer or the communication signal. The signal may be ECG or EEG signal. To the anti-aliasing filter, the input signal is applied. The anti-aliasing filter is allow the pass filter and mainly used to remove the high frequency noise to band limit the signal. So when this signal X of t, that is the input signal, analog signal, is fed to the anti-aliasing filter where the high frequency components can be removed and the low frequency components will be passed. Since the large part of the external noise is due to the 50 Hz frequency of the input wave, it is useful to include the 50 Hz notch filter. So if the 50 Hz frequency input wave is applied to the filter, then the notch filter frequency should be have the 50 Hz that can remove the power frequency component. If the required voltage that is required by the input analog to digital conversion unit is not met, then the amplifier circuit can be used to amplify the signal. So if the A to D conversion is not compatible with the analog input, then that signal should be the amplifier to amplify the signal, right? The input to the ADC can be provided by sample and hold circuit. It is required if the input signal must remain relatively constant during the process of conversion of the analog to digital format. So once the sampling and hold, the signal is passes from the sampling and hold circuit, then the samples, different samples of the different amplitudes will get available. That samples will be provided or fed to the quantization where the approximation of the signal values can be done, and this approximation signal can be provided to the A to D converter, then you will get the digital signal. The input to the ADC is obtained from the output of the sample and hold circuit depending on the value of the analog signal and its input, and the output of the ADC is n-bit binary number, and after the ADC, the signal passed from the ADC, you will get the digital output. Next, ADC is the input is signal either unipolar 0 to 10 volt or bipolar minus 5 volt to the 5 volt plus 5 volt. For obtaining the signal in this range, the preceding amplifier can be used. When the analog input signal is converted into its digital form by using the digital techniques, the signal can be processed. Next, after the conversion of A to D conversion, the digital signal is fed to the digital processor. That digital processor either be microprocessor, that is Intel 880 XX series or Motorola series, programmed to perform the desired operation. So the desired operation can be done on the input signal and may be a large programmable digital computer. So in this figure, when the signal is gets converted into the digital form, it will be uh, sent to the DSP processor, where DSP processor do the required operation on the signal and again fed to the D to A converter for the conversion process. For the performing the specified or set of operation on the input signal, the signal processing hardware ADSP, that is 2100 or Motorola DSP series can be used. So these kind of the processor can be used for performing the desired operation on the input signal. Next, the input to the DAC is the digital signal from the processor. The output of the DAC is a continuous signal, but the signal is not a smooth one, or not as compared to the original signal. That signal is quite different. The signal contains the high frequency component or unwanted noise component, and that should be removed from that signal. So in order to eliminate the high frequency noise component, the reconstruction filter is used, and the output of DAC is applied to the reconstruction filter for this purpose. So you will get the original signal or smooth signal. Since the reconstruction filter is used, so the output of reconstruction filter will be the continuous smooth of the signal. So revising the whole diagram. So first of all, x of t is a analog input signal which is applied to the anti-aliasing filter, where high frequency components can be eliminated and passes the low frequency component. After that, you will get the sample and hold circuit, where the sampling will be done, and after that the proper sampling, the samples are available with the different amplitude or amplitude values. That values will be fed to the quantization, where the approximation of that values can be done. Again, it is converted into the digital form by proper techniques or by using the proper step size. So the digital signal will be available, and that signal will be fed to the DSP. DSP is one kind of the processor. It may be microprocessor or Intel chips or DSP chips, ADSP chips or Motorola chips, where the required operation or desired operation performed on the signal. Again, the signal should be converted into the analog form or recovered back. So that's why D2A converter converts the signal into the analog form, but that analog form is not in the proper. So or the this available analog form is quite different from the input analog form or input signal. So the reconstruction filter is applied. So this signal, analog signal, is applied to the reconstruction filter, where unwanted noise can be removed or high frequency component can be removed. And after the reconstruction filter, you will get the Y of t, which is the desired output, and which quite similar with the X of t. So the advantages of the DSP. DSP have the highest accuracy. That is, accuracy of the analog filter is affected by the tolerance of the circuit components used for the filter design of the filter. But DSP has a superior control of the accuracy. So this is the one of the biggest advantages of the DSP is the high accuracy. The cost, the second advantage is the cheaper, or the cost, minimum cost. So the digital realization is much cheaper than the analog realization in many applications. Third one is the flexibility in the configuration. For reconfiguring an analog system, we can only do it by redesigning the system hardware, whereas the DSP system can be easily reconfigured only by changing the program. So by changing the program, we can use the same hardware for the different applications. So this is the third advantage of the DSP, that is the flexibility in the configuration. Next one, the data storage. So on the magnetic media, without loss of fidelity, the digital signals can be stored and can be processed offline in the remote laboratory. So digital data can be saved easily, and by using the compression technique, the many data can be saved or stored, so that it saves the memory. Next, time sharing. This is the one of the advantage of the DSP. The cost of the processing signal can be reduced in the DSP by sharpening of the given processor among the number of the signals. So the number of the signals can be passed in the same time slots. So the time sharing is one of the advantage of the DSP. Next, on the limitations or some disadvantage of the DSP. DSP is the very complex system, or system complexity is the one of the disadvantage. In DSP, due to the use of the devices such as the A to D converter or D to A converter, system complexity will get increases. So because there should be the designing of that signal, step size, quantization, so the noise may be the increases. For the minimizing of the noise, you need again the extra circuitry like a filter design. So the reconstruction of the filter will also contributes for the system complexity. So this is the one of the disadvantage of the limitation or limitation of the DSP, you can say, that is the system complexity. Next one, power consumption. The DSP chip consists of the over lakh 4 lakh of the transistors, which yields the dissipate of the high power near about 1 watt, whereas the analog processing includes only passive circuit elements like resistor, capacitor and inductor, which will lead to only low power dissipation. So the power consumption of the is the one of the disadvantage of the DSP. Next, these are the some applications highlighting applications of the DSP like a telecommunication, consumer electronics. DSP can be used in the image processing. In telecommunication, the DSP is used for the different satellites. Signals can be passed by using the different communicating devices. Next, consumer electronics, so different devices built up the DSP processor. The DSP can be used in the image processing. So this is the one of the major area of the application of the DSP. It is used in the instrumentation and control. So in my last presentation or last video, we already checked applications of the DSP in detail. So DSP can be used in the military application, speech processing, seismology and medicine. Next one is the sampling or signal sampling theorem. A continuous time signal can be represented in its samples and can be recovered back when sampling frequency fs is greater than or equal to the twice the highest frequency component of the message signal. So this is nothing but the sampling theorem, or this is the statement of the sampling theorem, that is your sampling frequency should be greater than or equal to 2 times of the message signal or modulating signal, 2 FM, that is 2 FM. So let us define or derive this equation. Consider the time signal x of t. The spectrum signal x of t is band limited to FM hertz, and the spectrum of the x of t is 0 for mod of omega is greater than the omega n. The sampling signal x of t can be obtained by multiplying the x of t with the impulse train delta of t of the period Ts. Let us consider it. And the output of the multiplier of the discrete signal called the sampled signal, which is represented as the y of t. So you can show me this figure. Suppose this is your signal x of t, and the x of t and the delta of t, that is pulse train, is applied to the multiplier. So you will get the output y of t. So this is your delta of t, and when this signal and this signal, that is x of t and the delta of t, is gets multiplied in the multiplier, you will get the sampling of the signal y of t, and you will get this kind of a signal. So that is a 2s is the period, one period, sample period. So this spectrum of x of t is x of omega, and spectrum of y of t is the y of omega. So like this. So here you can observe that the sampled signal takes the period of the impulse. The process of the sampling can be explained by the mathematical equation. So sampled signal is, you know, the y of t is equal to x of t multiplied by the delta of t. The trigonometric Fourier, you already checked this trigonometric Fourier series in my last presentation. The trigonometric Fourier series is representation of the delta of t is given by, so delta of t is equal to a0, that is Fourier coefficient, plus summation of n is equal to 1 to n an cos n omega st plus bn sin n omega st. So this is your equation number 1, 2. So for this derivation you need pen and notebook so that you can write that steps one by one and understand the steps. So it may useful for you. So a0, that is the coefficient 1 by ts integration minus 1 t by 2 to the plus t by 2 delta of t dt. So that is equal to 1 by ts. So over this interval the delta t is available for the only 0 period. So delta of 0 is equal to 1 by ts. So an is equal to 2 by ts integration of minus t by 2 to the plus t by t to delta of t cos of n omega s dt. So that is equal to 2 by t2 delta of 0 for the 0th period cos of n omega 0. So that is 2 by t. Similarly, Bn can be calculated as a 0. So here A0 is 1 by Ts, An is 2 by T and Bn is 0. So substituting this value in the equation number 2. So this is your equation number 2. So this value should be placed into the equation number 2. You will get delta of T is equal to 1 by Ts plus summation n is equal to 1 to infinity into 2 by ts cos of n omega s t plus 0. So the substituting the equation delta of t in equation 1 in this equation. So delta of t is equal to y of t into x of t into delta of t. So the value of delta of t is available here. So we can place it here. So x of t multiplied by this total equation. So multiply the x of t into the bracket. So you will get the 1 by ts x of t plus take the 2 outside of the summation sign. Summation n is equal to 1 to n infinity cos of n omega st into x of t. So therefore y of t is equal to 1 by ts x of t plus 2 cos of, expand the summation sign, 2 cos of omega s into t x of t plus 2 cos of 2 omega s t x of t plus 2 cos of 3 omega s t x of t and like or so on. So you will get the y of omega is equal to 1 by ts x of omega plus x of omega minus omega s plus x of omega plus omega s plus x of omega minus 2 omega s plus x of omega plus 2 omega s like so on. So y omega is equal to 1 by ts summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of omega minus omega s. So summation sign will be like this by observing this series where n can be put as a 0, plus minus 1 and plus minus 2. So to reconstruct the x of t, you must recover the input signal spectrum x of omega from the sampled signal spectrum y of omega, and which is possible when there is a no overlapping between the cycles of y of omega, and the possibility of the sampled frequency spectrum with the different condition is given by the following diagram. So this is the oversampling where the spacing is available. So that is when your sampling frequency is 2 greater than the 2 fm. So we can call it as oversampling. But by using this also we can't recover the signal. Next, fs is equal to 2 fm. This is the perfect sample you can say. And by this spectrum we can recover your original signal. And this is the undersampling where your frequency or sampling frequency is less than 2 fm. So this is the undersampling where the overlapping of the signal is done, or we can call it as a crosstalk or aliasing effect. So this is the aliasing effect. The overlapped region in case of the undersampling represents the aliasing effect, and which can be removed by considering the fs is greater than 2 fm. So you can use the anti-aliasing filter. So due to the aliasing effect the information can be lost. So you can use this condition, that is fs of sampling frequency is greater than 2 fm. Next, signal sampling techniques. So there are three sampling techniques: the impulse sampling, natural sampling and flat top sampling. Let us consider the impulse sampling. Impulse sampling can be performed by multiplying the input signal x of t with the pulse impulse train, that is summation of n is equal to minus infinity to infinity delta of t minus nt, where of the period t. And here the amplitude of the impulse changes with respect to the amplitude of the input signal. So consider this figure x of t, and this is the impulse signal, and if these signals get multiplied, you will get the sample signal y of t. So that is y of t is equal to x of t multiplied by impulse train. So x of t multiplied by this equation, that is the impulse equation, summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity delta of t minus nt. So that is equal to y of t is equal to y of y into delta t, that is equal to summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of nt, that is sampled signal, into delta of n minus delta of t minus nt. So to get the spectrum of the sampled signal, consider the Fourier transform equation one on the both sides. So y of omega is equal to 1 by t summation of n is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of omega minus n omega s, and this is called ideal sampling or impulse sampling, and you cannot use this practically because the pulse width cannot be zero, and the generation of the pulse trend is not possible practically. So this is the ideal sampling, but practically it is not possible. Next one is the natural sampling. The natural sampling is similar to the impulse sampling, except the impulse train is replaced by the pulse train of the period t. So this impulse signal is replaced by the pulse train, and you should multiply the x of t to the pulse train, summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity delta is replaced by the pulse train, so p of t minus nt. So these two signals will get multiplied, and the output signal will get available y of t. So the output of the sampler y of t is equal to x of t into the pulse train, that is x of t into p of t, that is equal to x of t into summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity p of t minus nt, that is equation number 1, and the exponential Fourier series representation of the p of t is given by p of t is equal to summation minus infinity to infinity f of n into e raised to j n omega st, that is summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity f of n e raised to j 2 pi n fst. So fn is 1 by t integration over the period minus t by 2 to the t by 2 p of t into e raised to minus j n omega s t dt, that is equal to 1 by t p n omega s. So substitute the fn value in the equation 2. So you will get this equation p of t. So that is equal to 1 by t summation in minus infinity to infinity p of n omega s. That is the sampling of the pulse train into e raised to j n omega s t. So put this into the equation number 1, this equation. So you will get the y of t is equal to x of t into p of t, x of t into this equation, that is p of t, that is 1 by t summation of n is equal to minus infinity to infinity p of n omega s into e raised to j n omega st, that is equal to y of t is equal to 1 by t summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity p n omega s into x of t into e raised to j n omega st. So to get the spectrum of the sampled signal, consider the Fourier transform on the both sides. So taking the Fourier transform of the both sides, and you will get the y of omega, which is equal to 1 by t summation of n is equal to minus infinity to the infinity p of n omega s into x of omega minus n omega s. So the third sampling method is the flat top sampling method, and during the transmission the noise is introduced at the top of the transmission pulse, which can be easily removed if the pulse is in the form of the flat top. Here the top of the samples are flat and they have the constant amplitude, and hence it is called as a flat top sampling or practical sampling. Flat top sampling makes use of the sample and hold circuit. So this sampling method is used in the sample and hold circuit. So x of t gets multiplied with the pulse train having the t period, so you will get the sampling y of t. So theoretically, the sample signal can be obtained by convolution of the rectangular pulses p of t and ideal sampled signal y delta of t. So you will get the y is equal to y of t is equal to p of t into y delta of t. So this is the p of t and this is the y of t, and you will get the y delta of t. So to get the sampled spectrum, consider the Fourier transform on the both sides of the equation 1. So you will get y of omega is equal to p of omega into y of delta of omega. But you know the p of omega t sampling of the omega t divided by 2, that is 2 sin omega t divided by omega. Nyquist rate. So the next point is Nyquist rate. It is the minimum sampling rate at which the signal can be recovered into the samples and can be recovered back without distortion. So this rate is very important. So we can call it as a Nyquist rate. By applying this rate only, we will get the original signal without distortion. So criteria for the Nyquist rate, your Fn is equal to 2 fm hertz. So Nyquist interval is equal to 1 by f into n, that is equal to 1 by 2 fm seconds. So next, the samplings of the bandpass signal. In case of the bandpass signal, the spectrum of the bandpass signal x of omega is equal to 0 and the frequency is outside the range, that is f is greater than f1 but less than f2. The frequency f1 is always greater than 0. Plus there is a no aliasing effect, so your sampling frequency is greater than 2 fm, but it has the two disadvantages. One is the sampling rate is large in the proportion with the f2. This has the practical limitation, and the second disadvantage is the sampled signal spectrum has spectral gaps. And to overcome this, the bandpass theorem states that the input signal x of t can be converted into its samples and can be recovered back without distortion when your sampling frequency fs should be uh, should be greater than, so here sign is reverse, should be greater than 2 fm, that is 2 f2, here 2 f2. Also, sorry, fs is less than 2 f2, so this is okay with this equation. So fs is less than 2 f2, so you will get the original signal. So f2, here f2 is the maximum frequency, so sampling frequency is less than 2 f2, so you will get the original signal. Next, also fs is 1 by t, that is 2 f2 divided by m, where m is the largest integer which should be less than f2 by b, and the b is the bandwidth of the signal. If f2 is k into b, then fs is equal to 1 by t, that is equal to 2 into k into b divided by m, where the bandpass signals of band width 2 fm and the minimum sampling rate is the fs into 2b, so that will be equal to 4 fm. So the spectrum of the sampled signal is given by y omega is equal to 1 by t summation n is equal to minus infinity to the infinity x of omega minus 2 nb. Thank you.